If you load it up big, you better clear the rest. The solvent list takes away all my stress. Life's been feeling like kind of a mess. I'll never let a hater make me think less, because everything before this was just a test.
Bagsy Chronicles.
I'm riding all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm about to go up in a blaze. I don't give a fuck unless I'm getting paid. When life gives you lemons, better make lemonade.
Hello! Welcome, everyone, back to the Bagsy Chronicles. As always, it has been too long, and once again, I am your host, Uncle Dig. Welcome. Now, before we get to our regularly semi-scheduled programming, I do have a request of y'all. I usually don't ask y'all to do anything because I don't want to, but here I am. As you know, I love munchies. I love food. And one of the eateries I featured on here has run into some trouble. Tony's Italian food truck had an engine fire on the way to work on the 29th of May. And unfortunately, unbeknownst to them, their insurance company had canceled their insurance premium or insurance policy or whatever on the 9th. So they've had to raise money and stuff. They've got a GoFundMe. And if you want to help them out, that GoFundMe is at www.gofundme.com/F/Tony's-Italian Kitchen Tony's-Italian-Kitchen-Food-Truck-Fire-Repairs. I'll also have a link in the show notes so you don't have to decipher what I just said. He's pretty close to his goal. Please go, and if you've ever wanted to support the show here, why don't you just go over and help him out? That would be much appreciated. He's got some of the best pizza in the valley, and the best meatball, and the best lasagna, for sure. Go check him out, Tony's Italian Food Truck. If you don't want to donate, why don't you check out the truck? Go eat there. Go pay him that way, right? Go get a pizza. Go get some lasagna, right? It's the only place in the valley you can get a pizza with a bolognese sauce on it. So check them out. Wednesday through Friday, they're at Emerald Triangle Dispensary in Central Point. And Saturday and Sunday, they're out at Rainey's on the edge of Sam's Valley in White City. So please go support Tony's Italian Kitchen. It's the bee's knees and the best pizza and Italian food in the valley. And not the most expensive, which is also important. All right. Now, on to the show. Today, I have a lovely interview with Lukas Barfield of the Cannabis Corner. He's also historically written for Ganjapreneurs, so that's pretty cool. But that's an update. That's going to be a fun interview. I haven't had Lukas on the show in a while, and we recently relaunched the Cannabis Corner on Radio Tacoma, so that's really cool. So a lot of exciting stuff to talk with about Lukas, and honestly, had a really nice informal hang. We talked about much more than cannabis this time, goal ball, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I hope y'all enjoy. I sure did. But before that, I bet you're wondering what's going on in my garden. Uncle Dig's garden update. It is June 20th, 2024. I am in gardening zone 8B, and this is Uncle Dig with a garden update. First, let's start with what I have going on indoors. I have a planetary gas that is in the late flowers and will be finishing any day. It is in the 60s of days right now, and I'm looking forward to harvesting it probably next week, but it may take up to 2 weeks from now. I also have a clone. I took from a mother who's outdoors. The Maroof Red or Aga Red from Red Scare Seed Company is putting on new growth and finally starting to look healthy. That's the clone. I also have a Super Skunk seedling that I just up potted into a 1 gallon. That plant will be flowered right next to the Maroof Red, so I can have a little bit of bud indoors while I wait for the outdoor. Moving on to the outdoor autoflower garden. All of these were started in May or June 1st. I have 2 planetary gases, 1 blue eyes white dragon. All of those plants are doing amazing. They're from Gem Seeker Genetics. I also have 4 green cracks. 2 of them are doing okay. 2 of them are not doing very well. Those are both CBD varieties of green crack. They didn't like starting so early. Now that it's warming up, they are starting to do a little bit better, but they're already flowering, so I have lost some yield. Same for 1 of the crystal meths from 420 Fast Buds, but 2 of them are actually starting to take off pretty well. I had extreme pest pressure in my autoflower garden starting out this year, but that's let up somewhat after I've sprayed. I've done some diatomaceous earth, and I need to spray again tonight, but everything's going along well. This will probably be the last spray for the autoflowers since they're starting to enter flower. Moving on to a garden that's performing much better, the photo periods. I have 8 plants. I have 2 CBD Dutch treats. Those are doing well. They're not trellised yet, but they're each at about 12 to 18 inches tall. I have 2 super skunks. Each of those is still barely a seedling. About 8 inches tall is the tallest one, but they're in their final containers. So that's good. Coming into June, they should get very big. I have 3, if I could turn Mac Pine from Gem Seeker Genetics, and they are smelling really good. I've got 2 that are getting ready to get trellised, and another one that'll get trellised next week. Very exciting stuff. I'm very excited to grow this strain. It's supposed to be a Miracle Alien cookies that taste piney, so couldn't think of a better thing that I'd like to smoke. And then I've also got 1 Aga Red seedling out there that is already trellised and already just about 2 feet tall. She's getting very big. She's been topped once, and she's starting to grow up through the trellis now. So that's it for the garden update. I wish everyone luck in this year's outdoor season. Mine's going well so far. Couple more risky things with the garden as we go through transition into summer, but keep water on them, and everything should be fine.
I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me.
On a live wire connection on a now defunct Defense Department project, each in the shadow of 2 dormant volcanoes. I, the host of the Bagseat Chronicles, Uncle Dig, and Lukas Barfield is on the line. Lukas is a cannabis educator, disability advocate, homegrower, psychedelic rights advocate, and lifelong political organizer from the Tacoma trenches fighting the stenches. Lukas, welcome to the Bagseat Chronicles.
Well, thank you for that great introduction, Dig. And yeah, we are in the shadow of a volcano. I'm always like, I can't see the volcano because I'm blind, but people are like, "Oh, it's so beautiful." I'm like, "It's a volcano, folks. it's beautiful, but yeah, maybe have a little more. I don't know. Like, it's beautiful, but it could take us out at any minute."
Yeah, we
are living here on the edge here in the Puget Sound.
Living on the edge. Oh yeah, dude. So I think I'm in the shadow of Mount McLaughlin down here in Southern Oregon, and it is beautiful. Still got a little snow on it. But yeah, it could kill us. Probably won't, but it could.
I hadn't heard of the Mount McLaughlin?
Mount McLaughlin, yeah.
Yeah, that's way south Oregon. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah. I might be wrong. I sometimes
that
forget.
sounds like it. Yeah, the Ring of Fire. I
I
think it goes
sound
all the way down.
I often like get like mountains confused because I'm a lazy person sometimes when I learn things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we went through that part of the country a couple years back, and I was surprised that the it was a little. I mean, it was mountainous, but I thought it was going to be a little different. But yeah, interesting part of the country live in there, Dig.
Yeah, yeah, it's a kind of almost a Mediterranean climate. It's very nice. I like it. It's good for growing weed.
Definitely.
Now, speaking of growing weed, are you growing anything right now?
I've actually started every year going down to a producer here in Washington State, Raven Grass, and they have been helping me out with some clones. So I
Nice.
have been trying to do a summer garden, and then maybe just one run on the indoors. I've largely stopped doing the indoors just because it's hard to do the power bill like that year round.
Yeah.
But we got the sun there, so might as well try to do something over the summer. Last year I had a pretty good crop. I tried to push it a little further on the date and got a little mold, but I keep learning that lesson. So this year we're gonna try to do like he gave me fair amount of clones, so I'm gonna do like 10 plus, but really small plants. So if you get like
Yeah.
a 3/4 of an ounce to an ounce off of each plant, that all adds up pretty good.
It does. Yeah.
So yeah, he gave me some pretty awesome strains. I can't remember all of them, but we have a purple punch, and then there was like a, black bud strain. I don't know the name of it, but one of those ones where the buds come out like purplish, almost black.
Like Black Domina.
Yeah, it was something like that, but it was a different name I of course never heard of. But then he had things like blueberry train wreck, and then there was another one in there. It had a couple really nice sounding ones. So I'm really interested to see what's happening. I plucked off two of the purple punches, and I'm going to be getting those going indoors. So they're real small right now, and like today we're having rain coming through, so I got them in a little tray out back. I had to bring them up by the house because the rain to get going, you don't want to have them all pounded down with the rain. So you know we're still dealing with the rain and the almost not winter here, but some days it gets a little chilly. So
Yeah.
I was taking them in and outside for a while, so it's a fun little summer activity.
Totally, totally. I'm lucky. I've got mine all hardened off, so they're in their final pots. Just got the last one in a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was going to be my activity today was actually mix up some soil and get ready to put mine in pots. But I think they're hardened off too. But of course, we have this rainstorm coming through and it's all muddy and stuff. So might have to wait till later this week to do that.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm just going to be putting them in 2 gallon pots. So I don't think they'll get too big, but like I said, it'll be enough off of each one of them that it'll add up.
You'll want to have like a chopstick or a steak or something to tie them to when they get because they still might put on a little bit of weight, if you get lucky.
Yeah, they probably have something. And I got some trellises. Those tomato basket things work pretty good.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
I got a couple of those because I had to stop growing tomatoes because it's just I don't ever get enough sunlight. So I had 1 year successful growing tomatoes, but it was from I tried to do these upside down tomatoes. So they were like hanging up higher in the so they get the sunlight a little earlier and get the sunlight a little later in the day. But like here in South Tacoma with all the houses everywhere, you don't really get enough light to grow
Right.
something like a tomato, but just enough to grow a fairly good amount of cannabis. And it's pretty good, but you can't do anything major because the sunlight, yeah. By the time September, October comes around, or and you're ready to harvest whatever, tomatoes or whatever it is, you hardly get any light. So
Oh, I mean the days are shorter up that far north too. Like in the winter, you're looking at like a sunset around 4 p.m. sometimes, right?
yeah, it gets pretty wild. I be coming home in the dark sometime. You get home around 5 and or even 6, but 4:30 it's about dark.
When I was in the army station there up at Fort Lewis, we used to say, "Oh man, it's so depressing. You go to work and it's dark, and then you leave work and it's dark, and then you just the whole day is at work and it's super depressing."
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, and it kind of messed me up this year. I got some new. Have you heard of that non-24 thing that affects blind folks? Like the commercials where, because you can't see the daylight, so your circadian rhythm gets thrown off.
No, I never even thought of that. If you so you can't so you explain that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I kept always hearing commercials for it on TV, and I was like, oh, whatever. I've never heard of that or anything. But it's because blind people can't, like, totally blind. You can't see the sunlight, so we're based on like a 24-hour cycle.
Right.
And you got sleep, you get up, to go to bed by the sun, most of the time, kind of your body does if you get it regulated correctly. But so blind folks can't see that. And so their sleep gets all off. So they wake up in the middle of the night thinking it's in the morning, or sleep in the middle of the day because they're not attuned to the cycle of the sun.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and that you were talking about it getting dark all day like that. Well, this year I kind of accidentally gave myself that. I got some new blind glasses, and they were a little too dark, so they block out everything UV, everything. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so they're kind of like, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles
Yeah,
glasses. You
yeah.
know
Well,
what I
for a
mean?
while you didn't like wearing those.
Yeah, yeah, but sometimes the sun bothers my eyes, and I do like them wearing them around town because you get a when I'm traveling on the bus and the train because it's like an identification. So I
Oh,
got me a
right. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
totally.
people see it and they're like, "Oh, okay, the guy's blind." Maybe I'll have my stick put away, but I'm sitting there on the train with these sunglasses on. So, okay, it's probably a blind person. So
Nice. Okay.
I started wearing those, and I got like a green tinted lenses, and they're a little too dark, so you can't quite see the green. But what I did by accident is I would wake up in the morning to get ready for work, 4 a.m., and I'd put my glasses on. So I would go to work in the dark, be inside all day long, and then get off in the afternoon and be in the and you know what I mean? I'd come outside and I have my sunglasses on. So it's dark 24 hours a day, plus the
Right.
short days, right? Well, shoot, it was like February or something. My sleep was like all messed up. Like I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, like I can't freaking sleep. And this is not really my I've always been able to on kind of on purpose, but not purpose, just kind of how I'm built, I guess. I've always been able to regulate my circadian rhythm pretty good. Like I've always sleep is not really a problem for me,
Right.
luckily, as long as I'm not like super stressed and all that. But usually I can get good sleep. But for like a month I couldn't, and I was really getting freaking worried. I was like, what the heck? And one day my wife Jennifer was like, she got to look and she was like, something's wrong because you're not usually like this. She got to looking and she's like, oh, it's a non-24. I was like, oh, and then it hit me right then. I was like, it's them damn sunglasses. And so I quit wearing the sunglasses, and I don't wear them when I go out in the morning to get on the bus, get on the shuttle, and I go outside in the middle of the day without them, and I make sure I don't have them on all the time at night. When I'm coming home, I'll like take them off. And sure enough, about a week later, my sleep cleared right up. I was back to going to sleep at 8, waking up at 4, no problem. Pretty
Nice.
wild.
That
It's
is
really
wild.
wild how that happened. I was like, holy moly. I mean, the body is just such a wild thing. But yeah, it messed me up pretty good there for like a month, Dig. I was really getting worried because like my sleep was like that's like my thing because I'm stressed. Like, okay, I get sleep, I'll feel better tomorrow. But when it messes, if man, shout going out to all the people out there with sleep problems, man, because it's a tough business.
Yeah, it's not fun, man. So what you speaking of you being blind recently, not somewhat recently in the scheme of things, I was up there in Tacoma and I got to come volunteer and come see you play goal ball, which is a sport for the blind. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that and what you've been up to with goal ball?
Yeah, goal ball is a sport for the blind. It's real interesting. And I will try not to take up the rest of your show with the goal ball talk, Dig,
No,
but
we can talk a little bit of goal ball. I
it
actually
was
like it.
yeah, it was a sport invented after World War II by a doctor to try to rehabilitate veterans over in Austria. And it's now an international sport. It's a Paralympic sport. But basically, and if you go to my YouTube channel, Blind Guy Doing Stuff 7932 on YouTube, I have a radio show about goalball. We can learn a little more. And there is a lot of other resources on YouTube about it. But basically, you have a ball with bells in it. Everybody's blindfolded. The floor is roped off, tape with tape on it, so you can feel where you're at on the floor. and then there's a goal behind you, so you can feel the goal too when you're playing in actual games. And then you take that ball, which is a little heavier and bigger than a basketball, and it's like hard plastic, not bouncy. And yeah, you felt it before, Dig. It's a pretty heavy ball.
Yeah, it's got like a very little give to it, but not very much. It's like a hard plastic or a really hard rubber
Yeah,
with
it's like a rubber. Yep.
with a few little bells inside, and y'all roll it across the ground to try to get it in that goal very fast, like
Yeah.
extremely fast, and it hits with some authority. And the effect is the resulting effect is that goal ball is a pretty high impact sport.
Yeah, it's a contact sport, definitely. Because what I really like about it is since everything's taped off and it's got rules and everybody, if you got three people on the court at a time, you you can get out there as a blind person and just let loose. You don't like I do running too, but with running you got to have somebody guide you. So they're like leading you with a tether. Or I did one recently where somebody runs in front of you like a bell and you follow the bell. So that's but see somebody's helping you. But see goal ball, you're like out there on that court yourself. And so it's really fun because you're jumping around, catching the ball and everything. Um,
It was
la
kind of trippy to watch because I've never been around that many blind people before at once.
yeah,
So in the beginning, when everything's getting set up, the tape's getting put on the ground, all of that, everyone moves around like blind people move around. There's a certain trepidation, and there's a certain way of moving. But once the game starts and the field of play, as it were, is cleared of sighted people, the way that y'all are able to move and communicate changes. Your movement becomes more fluid, more confident. It's really neat to see, and I think it's really cool. It I think more people should know about it and become involved in it if they want to. It's really neat. And it's a quiet sport, which I enjoy.
yeah. There's no cheering. You can cheer when the whistle blows, but we so last year, so I've been playing since like 2011. But only recently really started getting good coaching where I can like learn what's happening and get good techniques and everything. Well, last year, Seattle, we had a Paralympian move out here named Daryl Walker to Portland. And so he's been kind of coaching us up and getting us all together. Last year, Seattle took two teams to the national championships. And they invited the B team, so their second level team. They invited me to come and play with them. And
Nice.
yeah, we came in second, Dig. So we came in second in the national championships last year, and that was just super awesome. I never would have expected to come in second in anything on
And
like a national level.
where was the national championships?
It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and
Nice.
yeah, and the Seattle team, their A team, came in third. So these are like the Paralympian level, and so they came in third, and then I set a goal. They have a tournament in Atlanta. And so I'm originally from Alabama. All my family live in Tuscaloosa, South Alabama. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna go to the Atlanta tournament. And so I got myself a grant and I went, and that was just a super awesome experience because I went as like a pool player.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't. We are Seattle. I wasn't able to go with them to join up with their team. So what I did was you can go and like be on another team
Right.
or put pool players together and make a quote pool player team. Well, I went and it was really cool because I got to play with this team, the Minnesota Ice. So shout going out to the Minnesota Ice. It was some younger folks from Minnesota and I think Georgia put together this team at the University of Minnesota. So I was able to play with them and just kind of be like a fourth player. And so that was really fun. That was their first tournament. And so it was cool to be out there playing with those guys. And then the coolest thing over the weekend at the end, this other team, this Atlanta men's team, they had two injuries. So they were like, hey, can you step off the ice and then come play for the Atlanta men's team? I was like, shoot, yeah, I could go play with two teams. You know what I mean? Because I'm just wanting to have fun and, meet new folks and just have a good time. Well, it turns out that the other team, like one player to my right, he was in 10th grade. Now he was a younger player that'd been like the young youth national, so he was pretty good. The guy that left of me, he'd been playing for like 3 weeks.
Oh
So
wow.
they put me in the center, and then we played the eventual gold medal winners, the Renegades from Atlanta. And yeah, we hung with those guys all the way to like almost the end. And it was funny because at the halftime we were down something to something, but they weren't like smoking us or anything. But I got up and kind of walked to the center of the court and come back around, and they were like, "Oh, you owe me that bet." And I think they had bet that they were going to beat us in the first half because our team was like kids, you know what I mean? It was me and two kids playing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we hung with them all the way to the end, and the kids were so excited. They were like, "Ah!" And the coach was like, "Thank you so much for playing." It was a really good time. So I met that other team, the Renegades. Shout going out to Rashid and those guys. They got the gold medal, and yeah, it's a really cool community. I got my mom came to visit, and smoked some weed and did some mushrooms in the Waffle House parking lot dig. So got the really
Oh hell yeah.
dirty South experience, baby.
Were they picked wilds too?
No, no, my friend
Okay, I was
got
gonna
some down
say
at
that's
oh, actually, it's a bus. We'll talk about this. My friend had got some down at a EDM concert out in Florida. Yeah, he met me up there, and he told his daughter, he's like, me and this guy, like, we ain't hung out in like 20 years, and we still do the same thing we used to do, like hang out in parking lots, smoke weed, and eat mushrooms. Get that true
hey,
dirty South experience,
if it
baby.
ain't broke, don't fix it, man.
Nah, man, no. So it was a good time. It was a really good time. Go ball and got to see my family and my friends. So it was pretty awesome.
That sounds like a good time, man.
Oh yeah,
I didn't quite have quite that much fun as far as mushrooms and weed is concerned, but I recently got back to Texas to see my family, and it was really really good. I ended up copping some of that weird gray area THCA at like a CBD store down the street and limped along with that for the trip.
okay. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
That's right. Well, I had to meet the nephew. He's getting older. He's going to start forming core memories soon. He's got to know his Uncle Dig.
Yeah, well, my buddy's got his Florida medical cannabis card, and so I was able to smoke on a little Florida medical cannabis. I was hoping he was gonna bring some really nice flower, like some flower, but he just brought some like tube joints, you know what I mean? And then some vapes. The vapes were actually pretty good. They were like some full spectrum, look like a little one of those nicotine vapes, like a little flat little thing.
Nice.
So yeah, and then it had some gummies for the trip home, so that was good. So it was a good trip.
Nice. Nice. So, what, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. What are you smoking on today? Or are you vaping? You're a big vaporizer guy, right?
Yeah, I quit smoking. I'm kind of getting up in the old timey age there, Dig. Birthday next week, gonna be 49, and so like I don't know.
No, you're 47 forever, right? Because
No,
that's
man, but I'm cool getting old. I'm good. But the
well, you're still
um,
flopping around on those damn
oh yeah,
hardwood
that's what I'm
floors.
saying. Yeah, you can't. Old's in the head, I think. That's what I keep hearing. But
Old's in the bones, as far as I'm
oh
concerned.
man, since I quit doing gold ball, dude, I my bones have like been settling because I quit after the Atlanta tournament. I was like, okay, I'm done. Seattle invited me to go back to nationals, but I was like, nah, I can't because literally my body, I just was like, okay, I gotta chill out. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Oh, are you
old
gonna
is in the bones.
are you gonna slow down a little bit on the go ball this year?
Nah, well, no, I switched over to running. I had already made commitments. I'm not going. I just was like, I don't want to go to nationals because I just got other stuff to do here. Because it would be going all the
Oh,
way to
okay.
August. You know what I mean? It'd be extending the
Oh
season way
man,
out.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what we were talking about before. Somehow we got back around to goal ball. Either if you're
Dude,
hanging
go
out with
ball.
me, we're gonna talk about weed or goal ball, dig.
Listen. If you're trying to volunteer for go ball, if you're in a bigger city like Tacoma, Seattle, I'm sure San Francisco has one.
Yep, yep.
I don't know about Oklahoma, but it sounds like if they're in Indiana, they're in the Midwest too, folks. It's fun to get involved if you're a little skittish like me, you got PTSD. Um, it's a really quiet activity that you can volunteer at where it won't maybe trigger you as much. Now that ball hurts when it hits you because they can't see you. So if you're in the way, you're going to get hit.
Yeah, they'll throw the ball. It'll smack you. Yeah.
But yeah, we were going to ask, what have you been vaporizing on?
Oh yeah, so I just got one of these little I have like a BHO vape right now, but somebody gave it to me. It's one of these battery ones where it's like disposable, which I've
Yeah.
not really ever liked, but I like it because it's like I you don't have to worry about charging the thing. And I'm always trying to get the thing turned on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can't see the light. So I'm like, is this damn thing on? And you're
Right.
outdoors like at the bus stop trying to hit it, and you're like, I can't see the light. But I got this one, and it's just you pull on it and it hits. So I'm thinking about starting getting these more often. But as far as flower goes, I got a little super silver haze recently. It's pretty good, but I was smoking on before. I just got some Washington dirt weed from the store day. It really kind of got on my nerves, but
Oh
we're getting
no.
through because it's hard to pay a lot of money for cannabis. I'm $100, 120 an ounce kind of person.
That's what
And
it
then
should cost. It shouldn't probably cost that much. They all
yeah,
said it was
yeah.
going to be cheaper than it was at the dealer, and now here I am missing some of those bottom bargain prices. I never went to a dealer, folks. I was lucky. I came right at the end. I started smoking cannabis late in life, and I came in at the tail end of Oregon Medical. So a lot of people were practically giving it away, it turns out.
Yeah, but I'm interested you brought up the dealer because it just made me think. So I was like, I went in there and I was like, hey, I need to get a $65 ounce. Okay. And they're like, okay, we got you. Well, so back in the day, if I was to go to my dealer's house and was like, hey, buddy, I need to get that $50 ounce, hook me up. And he's like got a pound sitting there on the couch, okay? He's not going to dig down into the very, very bottom of the pound and get the crappiest bud out of there, full of seeds and stems and everything for you and give it to you. Most of the time, they'll give you some really good buzz, so-so buzz, and then maybe a little of that shake in the bottom.
Right.
Well, here in Washington State, they're like, well, heck, if you're only going to if you're going to buy the cheap stuff, $65 an ounce, well, guess what? You're just going to get popcorn buds. That's it.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just like garbage. It's like, that's not how you sell weed. I was thinking this morning, I'm like, obviously, these people never really know how cannabis is supposed to be distributed, which is somebody's
Supposed
want.
to be
Yeah, well, if you don't,
on my neighbor's couch. God damn it!
well, it's always been like that before. I'm just saying the they're wanting to hook you up because they want you to come back and talk to them. So they're
Yeah,
going to give you the good bud. They're going to give you you know what I mean? They're not going to just give you the crap weed because then you're going to go find somebody different. You'd be like, no, I'm good. You just got the crap.
I
But I
w-
keep finding with these stores, they're basically like, it's us or nothing for a lot of folks. So, well, $65 an ounce guy, half ounce person, well, you're just going to get the crappiest weed we got. And I find that kind of insulting and it's kind of wasting your money. You know what I mean?
I
But I don't
do.
like going to the underground market. That's not my thing because it's just it's not, the cannabis is good, but it's not any better than anything in the stores a lot of times if you're going to spend extra money. You know what I mean?
See, right. And that's where in my environment in Oregon, it's weird, right? Because if you're a home grower, a certain amount of people, just weed people trade back and forth. Then people who don't smoke a lot of time just get gifted weed and never run out. So a lot of the underground market isn't even a market. It's literally people giving each other weed.
Yeah, a
And
lot of that is, yeah.
and then but a lot of times home grow in Oregon, especially the outdoor home grow, is it can be really special stuff. Um and so that plays into it too. And a lot of time what that results in is that if someone blows up their backyard, let's say, and they're like, giving away ounces or they're giving it away to their friends or they're selling it, whatever the case may be, that weed a lot of times is better, not than what you can get in the dispensary, but it's better than what I can afford to get at the dispensary, right? Like, so
Yeah,
like if I give you a free eighth, it's probably the equivalent of like what I would could be considered like top tier mids or better. We're talking $12 to $14 a gram, maybe $10 a gram in the dispensary for outdoor here. If I'm willing to give it to you, every once in a while, I'll have a disaster like I did in my tent, and I'll gift people $4 grams. And I'm sorry, that's what you're getting next time. But Most of the time at home, it's really good because we can love on the plant a little bit more. We can
Mm-hmm.
baby it. And you don't get that in the dispensary. And you get a little bit of that still on the gray market. Uh, Whereas you don't really get it in the dispensary unless you're at a price tier that frankly is abominable.
Yeah, and the cannabis that you gave me last time you came and visited, I mean, yeah, that's $40 an eighth cannabis at least. You know what I mean? And so that's it can
Thank
add.
you.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's Diggs got it dialed in, guys. And I was like, yeah, so it's kind of can add up, but you know, it's hard to judge the difference between the two, the underground or pick the stores, because it all kind of evens out. Because store you can just go over there. If you're gonna do it on the underground, you still got to call people up, go meet them, and all this stuff. So,
Oh, yeah.
um, I
Or you develop your whole lifestyle around it and you
yeah
do.
yeah. So home growing really is kind of the best if you can do that because then you can just have it yourself.
Yeah,
And
and most people, like, I always joke about running out, but I really like to smoke weed. Most people don't smoke near as much weed as I do. I think there for a long time, Lucas, you kept yourself supplied in cannabis just by taking clones and like the equivalent of a couple tents. It wasn't a lot of square footage.
yeah, I
And
had a perpetual for a couple of years there. Yep.
And and so people, you can do it small. You don't have to blow up your backyard. You don't have to get a big 4x4. You can get a little 2x2 tent. You can cram in a closet with a little, 4-inch fan with a charcoal filter so you only smell it when you open the tent. Little 2x2. You just grow an auto flower in there or a little one feminized plant, and you veg it out, pop it and then you flower it in the same tent. And then when it's time to cut, take the plant out, you clean up the tent real good, let it dry out. Then you literally chop the plant, hang it upside down, right in that tent, dry it right in there. You can do that. And you can do
Hmm.
that like 3 to 4 times a year. And depending on how you do it, you can yield anywhere from 1 to 4 ounces that way. Easy once you get it dialed in. And for most people, that's a pound a year, damn near. So
Hmm.
that's enough for most people. My first several years, I was using cannabis. I didn't smoke more than a pound a year. So it's doable. Now, if you want to smoke blunts and be silly, and then you need more cannabis. But if you just need to medicate, you can do that with an incredibly small space comparable to what you think maybe you need.
Hmm. Because you can use all the leaves and everything to make edibles and keef and everything. So it you could get plants to give off a fair amount. And I just ran out of cannabis back before I got this super silver haze. I actually got down to the bottom of a jar, first time in a long time. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I'm on my last 2 jars from this last indoor run.
No,
And
okay.
but I've got a planetary gas flowering in my 2x2, and I've got a clone and a feminized seedling and this other one that I'm probably gonna try to veg up into 1 gallons and then flower at like 1 foot tall.
Nah. You said you had a disaster in your tent. What happened?
Oh, well, there was a couple disasters. Well, my clones turns out they were infected with something. I had to toss them out. So I only got 1 clone out of
Ah,
that
okay.
maroof, and then I had bugs in one tent. And then this morning I had a little oopsie in the garden. I had this like sickly super skunk that I finally up potted into its final container, and it was starting to recover. And then I was moving the hose, and I banged the hose into the cage that I put in there to protect it from cats, and
Mm.
that flung a bunch of dirt on the plant. So I had to kind of rinse the plant off. So I banged into the plant with the hose, and now it's all fucked up again. So I'm like, fuck.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty durable, but yeah, you can mess them up.
Yeah, well, it'll be fine. It's not even the hottest part of the year. The thing that I want, like, to have like a really like, if you're trying to have like anywhere from 3/4, I like to say outdoors, I'm happy with anywhere from, honestly, I used to say half a pound, now I say 3/4 of a pound to a pound and a half. I'm more than happy. And to get a plant like that, you want to follow the golden rule of corn, which is knee high by July. So if you put, and I'm a long-legged 6 foot tall dude, so from my foot to my knee is probably about 18 to 24 inches. I'm not going to measure it. I don't know how to tape measure, but 18 to 24 inches tall. If you're that tall by July in a Mediterranean climate like Southern Oregon, you could have a 6 to 8 foot plant by October. And then you're looking in that pound range. So that's what you're shooting for outdoors. And we still have time to hit it. It's only the 15th. We've still got half of June to go. I think we can make it.
Yeah, there's no way mine are gonna make that. They're still like 3 or 4 inches tall. I've been keeping them outside. It's just they don't. I was talking earlier about the light thing
Well, it's light, and I'll tell you something.
and temperature too. It's still, it's still getting in the 60s here sometimes. Most of the time.
Yeah. It's down into the 40s here at night, but it gets up into the 70s during the day. And we had a hot spell there where we were getting 90-degree days. And that was when they got hardened off outside. So they're weathering the cold a little bit, but they don't necessarily like it. But it's not really hurting the photos. They'll recover. But my auto flowers are stunted because I did start them too early this year. I was experimenting. I'm like, let me try them in June. And it was too cold.
Yeah, I tried those one year. Somebody I interviewed on the corner gave me some autoflowers, and I screwed them up. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I hadn't tried since.
Yeah, they're finicky. If you can get them, honestly, like I have to germinate them under like a clear cup, like a little mini dome. But I use like a Starbucks cup or something. I just turn it upside down. I germinate them under that, and then indoors, I mist them 3 times a day for the first, until they germinate, until they have their first little half true leaves. And then I start watering them normally, but you kind of have to baby them to get them going. But then once they get going, if it's warm enough and everything, they get going. They grow, but they grow fast, but you have to baby them in the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I didn't do. I think I put it out and then we had some kind of weather problem. The one I grew like 6 inches tall. Now it was super terpy.
Oh, I grew one of those one time. I tried to grow.
Yeah, it was
them.
interesting. I mean, it was not bad. It was just tiny, tiny amount. It was interesting. It had like these little teeny tiny, like, I don't know, almost the size of like a seed buds on it, like teeny tiny little buds on it.
I grew a 1 gram, no, a half-gram cannabis plant one year.
That's
that
about
was an
it.
auto. It was too cold.
Yeah.
And it didn't have time to recover. But I've got some smaller ones that are stunted out this year, but they're going to at least probably give me an 1/8. But some of them are still killing it relatively. They're all starting to flower. But they're killing it. Like they're still like 8 inches tall. So
Okay.
I think they'll still put on like 3/4 of an ounce each, but I don't think I'm looking at like indoors on an auto flower. I can get anywhere from an ounce to 4 ounces. I've gotten outdoors. I usually look at an ounce to an ounce and a half on a good one and about a half ounce one on an okay one. So they don't produce as much, but I have this huge open yard on one side of my house, and I would be growing pot out there, but there's a LED street light out there that fucks with the flowering on the photo periods.
Oh yeah.
So I just started growing autos over there just because I just want to grow cannabis out there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so I just grow autos out there. So I get, usually if I grow 10 out there, I usually get like 3/4 of a pound, maybe half a pound out of that little garden, which is enough to limp me along until the big autumn harvest. And then I'm doing a small perpetual grow this year. I've got, like I said, those 2 plants, and then I've got an autoflower going indoors as well. So I'm just growing and growing all the time.
Yeah, the city with their overlighting can't stop dig, y'all. He's gonna put those out. That was good thinking, Dig. Good thinking.
Well, yeah, and I've been
It's interesting that that makes sense. I don't know if I'd have thought of that.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, and I was just because I'd always been curious about autoflowers, and I ran some testers that year kind of on a whim. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that I could have flower in July, I got really excited. So I was just going to grow a couple every year, just for fun. And then when I had like all my flowers over there on that side of the fence, they installed that light in like September, and all my flowers started like foxtailing real bad
They reverse.
and not putting on. It was bad. It was all fucked up. And so I lost a bunch of weight, and I just had to cut. It was just a horrible. And so I was like, well, what can I do to salvage this? I have this huge, full sun space. The sun rises over that fence and hits my yard, and then it sunsets over a hedgerow. So I've got like all day sun just blasts it. I'm like, well, I'll grow autos. And so I just started putting out 3-gallon smart pots. But yeah,
Hmm.
because I wanted to test the theory. If autos really aren't light sensitive, we'll see. And sure enough, it works like a charm.
Nice.
They almost seem to like it a little bit, honestly. The little like bullshit, like,
Well, it is 24 hours light on it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But it's growing. It's kind of like vegging out 24 hours a day. You can grow autos indoors 24/7 too, I'm guessing.
you can. It's really expensive though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And the best, honestly, the yields that I've had the best terps, the best yields, like the big 4 ouncer I told you about, that Blue Eyes White Dragon, the 3.11 ouncer, the orange sherbet, all those were grown under 18.6. So
Okay.
I don't 100 now. Who's not to say I might have hit 6 ounces if I'd grown them 24. I don't know. But I have had the best results with an 18.6 life cycle. Now, what I've learned over time is your mileage may vary. My results don't necessarily transfer to your results, viewer at home. Um,
Yep.
different gardens yield vastly different results. And I found even moving a garden like 5 feet to the right or the left can change your sun pattern. And honestly, I'm dealing with different light patterns in my photo period garden. Like I'm constantly dealing with a bunch of individual plants, because here's an outdoor growing secret. I don't mean to like ramble, but if you want to grow outdoors, a taproot is helpful. So you really want to grow a seedling to get these big 1, 2 to 5, 20-pound monsters. These girls have taproots. They're seedlings. And a taprooted plant can grow at a rate that a clone can't. Now a clone will reach its max growth rate quicker than a seedling will. It'll start growing faster, but the top end of that is better with a taproot, if that makes sense, because clones don't have a taproot because they didn't come from a seed. So they
Yeah.
have like side branching roots, but they don't have a deep penetrating taproot
Yep.
like a seedling does. And so
Yep.
that's one disadvantage you have when using clones. Now, clones give you predictability of result. You know what you're getting. It's a genetic copy of its mother. It's sexed. That's all very good. But with feminized seeds, a lot of times if you can germinate seeds, feminized seeds are the way to go outdoors, in my opinion, for the novice grower. Now, Lucas runs into some challenges because he can't visually look at a seedling, and you don't want to touch them. So that's kind of a problem. And that's why clones actually fit his environment perfectly. Teaching
Yeah,
moment over.
I had pretty good success for clones for a long time, but then it just kind of went south on me. Yeah, the only success I ever had with seeds was putting them just straight into the ground and then having them pop up. And that's hard here because of the cool weather outside.
Right. You need
And
heat.
yeah, and so yeah, I haven't been that successful with seeds here in the Northwest. Yeah, clones work pretty good for me because there's predictability and you just once you get it down, you can do it. I've tried a cloner. I've just done it straight in a pot, and so there's been a bunch of different ways that I've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've had, I had a horrible run of cloning this last run. I've seen you have really good results. I've seen you have problems.
It's predictable and not predictable. I mean, you talk to the big growers and stuff. I mean, you got to tear your stuff down every month and clean it all the way out. The clones are great, but they do get to be like a little bit of a hassle after a while.
Right. Well, and a lot of those commercial producers they're doing that because they need like a steady result. If you're a home grower, let's say you grow 6 plants and or medical, whatever is legal for you to grow, and they're all feminized seed, and you're trying to get, a really good indica and a really good hybrid. Okay, let's say that's your goal, right? If you pop 3 feminized seeds of, let's say, like an indica feminized that you really like, you've had it before, and 3 feminized seeds of a really good hybrid that you like that you've had before, and you grow those to term, you're probably going to get 2 plants out of those 6 that you're really happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of that stuff you give to your friends, man. I mean, and that's climate dependent. That's like can dependent on so many factors. People have watched me. If you've been following me for a long time, I've lost almost whole gardens to pests. I've been ripped. People have come and stolen plants from me over my fence and stuff. So you can lose that harvest all kinds of ways. But when it goes right, it's so rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't take a lot to make it go right, and the same make it go wrong. So it's a very
No.
interesting, challenging activity and rewarding.
It's so fun though. It's definitely, of all the plants to grow, cannabis, I think, is one of the coolest. And I grow other stuff. I've got peppers in my garden right now. I've got all kinds of perennials that I maintain on my property that I fertilize and prune a certain way. There's a japonica, that I in my front yard that I'm very proud of. But yeah, it's just gardening is very fun, and it can be rewarding both in produce and just in the way it makes you feel. And it's also just good for you, good for the environment. If you're putting roots into the soil on your property, you're preventing soil erosion, which at its base level is just a good thing. So it's always a good thing to grow things. Always.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not always. I mean, you don't want a bunch of like runoff, but you know what I mean. It's usually good to grow things.
What's a japonica?
It's like a broad-leafed kind of tropical looking plant. It's got 9 leaflets off of a broad leaf. So it starts off, it's like, honestly, it kind of looks like a cannabis leaf, but with webbing around its fingers. It's but
Okay.
the plant looks completely different because the leaves grow out of like a central stalk.
Okay.
Instead of like off of like smaller branches. So it has kind of like a jungly appearance to it. It's a really cool plant. It grows in front of my studio window and kind of provides like a bluish green light for the sun to pass through. It kind of makes me like a little sunscreen. So I really enjoy it. So when I record podcasts on mornings like this, when it's bright, the japonica keeps the light down. I like to record in a dark studio because I'm a weirdo and I associate using microphones with like dark, cramped spaces because I was in the military too long.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, the military didn't teach you how to read a tape measure, Dig?
No, I don't have
all that government training, man.
No, I know how to read a tape measure. I just don't have one handy to measure how long my lower leg is.
Okay.
I just don't know. I mean, like I said, it's dark in here. I've got the light shut off. I'm like, it's the glow of the sunlight coming through that japonica through my window. And then here's some sound engineering for you folks. You have your microphone. If you've got like a flat surface, like a window that does a lot of weird things to sound, you put it behind your microphone, and then it doesn't interfere with as much. And then you keep all your soft cloth things around the front of your microphone to kind of mellow the sound out into the microphone.
Oh yeah, good tip. Yes, sun's shining right now. It's supposed to do crazy rain later, so it's
We
not
were
dark in the studio here. It's the sun's shining right now.
It's overcast today, but then the clouds will clear. We were supposed to get rain Sunday, but that prediction went away, so I don't think we're going to get it now. But it's been kind of cool, and then it's going to get back up into the 80s here in Southern Oregon in the next couple days, and then it's going to get into the 90s shortly after that, I'm sure.
Yep, sometimes coming.
Oh, yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, I feel like we've been on here for like a little over 50 minutes, Lucas. I think it might be about time to wrap her up. What do you think?
Yeah.
I know that you've just been releasing new episodes of the Cannabis Corner. I may be releasing one as a bonus here soon. Where can people find that?
Yeah, the Cannabis Corner. We are on Blogspot, the Cannabis Corner 840.blogspot.com. And there you can find our episodes, I think 30 up through this latest one. But if you want to find all of our episodes, like all the way back to episode 1, with just me, I think it was just me up until about episode 21 or 2, or
Yeah, and then you
somewhere
had
there
me
in there.
start co-hosting, which has been really fun.
So the first couple of years, so that is over on YouTube as well, the Cannabis Corner. And then maybe put my name in, Lucas. I don't know the exact handle on the. There's a couple Cannabis Corners. We're not the only one.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully nobody ever trademarks it, but then also at radiotacoma.org, there's a page, the Cannabis Corner page. And all the way back to episode 1 is there too. And it's kind of like the evolution of Washington cannabis and cannabis news over the past 7 years. So lots of information on there. I'd appreciate if people take a listen. And Dig's on there Dig really started making the show even better around episode 20. So
I really enjoy
fun.
That's how I got my start speaking into a microphone again, is doing this stuff. So, and doing that show got me started again. So I really appreciate Lucas invited me on to start co-hosting a few years back. And then I also appreciate Lucas for not letting me say certain things. So I had to start this podcast.
Yeah.
As the great luminary.
Well, we're on the FM dial, Dig, so we got to take it easy with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to keep that car in the road, But I mean, there are people that do podcast format on that medium, but really like the Backseat Chronicles and glad you're doing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna have you on again as often as we remember to, and we always love you having you on, Lucas. Thank you for being on. We will see you next time. Everyone, love loud, love hard, fuck your neighbor. All right, fuck. Stop recording.
It's Tom Wisdom. S&T Records, let's get it. Zecca on the beat. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm gonna get lit, take another fat rip off this bomb shit. Can't get enough of it, yes. Hitting the best feeling.
If you're still listening, you are awesome. And if you like the Backseat Chronicles, you should share with a friend. And donate or eat some pizza, all right? GoFundMe, Tony's Italian Kitchen. Let's go!